Hello and welcome to One Stop Business Workshop. I'm Anya McKenzie. I am the manager of business and rights for the digital team at CBC, and I will be your moderator today. I am actually wearing a very bright orange dress, and I have long dark hair. I am an Indo-Caribbean woman from South Asian heritage, and I'm wearing some bright orange lipstick to match my dress. So I'm so delighted to present today's session on how to finance your content from a producer's point of view. And with us today is Diang Yu, VP of Content Production for Shaftesbury. Diang has worked on a number of roles during his time at Shaftesbury across production, business affairs, finance, scripted drama development, before settling into his current position as the VP of Content Production. He focuses on a variety of business elements that make up a production, for anything from developing the financing plan, the budget, obtaining the tax credits, and has worked on some incredible shows, including Murdoch Mysteries, Hudson and Rex, and Departure. Diang also sits on the festival, the advisory committee for the Toronto Rail Asian Film Festival. Welcome, Diang, and thank you for being here. Also with us is the brilliant Ngardy Conteh George, co-founder and producer of Oya Media Group. Ngardy is a two-time Canadian Screen Award filmmaker, a Sundance Institute Documentary Film Program Fellow, among other awards. We won't list them all today. She is committed to working with marginalized and often unheard communities, especially those that represent the rich cultures and complexities of the African diaspora. Most recently, she directed, co-wrote, and co-produced the TV one-hour documentary, Mr. Jane and Finch, for CBC Doc's POV. Ngardy also serves on the board of the directors for the Doc Organization of Canada, the Ontario chapter. So welcome. By the end of the session, you will learn, we hope, more about the topic of financing, and you will take away with you some very valuable tips about how to navigate that area, which is so critical to making your productions come to fruition from a producer's point of view. So we invite you to stick around for the Q&A, where I'm going to ask some of the questions that were sent in advance from our panelists. I'll ask those questions, and then I'll also attempt to answer some of the questions that are going to be placed right now in the Zoom chat and the YouTube stream. Hopefully we'll get to all of your questions, but I can't promise that. Before we get started with our first presentation and with the slides, and we wish to acknowledge those Indigenous nations on whose lands we live and work, as well as the treaty territories, the unceded territories, and nations from coast to coast on which we conduct our daily business. So thank you. And let's bring up the second slide. Right. So just briefly wanted to go over some of the topics that we're going to take you through today. First off, where do you start on your financing journey? A very important one. And then we're going to look at some tips of speaking to a broadcaster about money, which is so important. And financing plans, we're going to take a bit of a deeper dive and looking at how they work. And then we're going to talk a little bit about accessing some of the new opportunities for producers from Black, Indigenous, and communities of people of color. So we can go to the next slide. One of the key things first off to introduce this session is understanding your content, which is really, really important to knowing what type of financing you might be going after. Content can include anything from fictional series, nonfiction, short doc, digital web series, and each financing plan has its own specific rules, and this will be really important to determining what is the best fit for your project. So I'd like to throw it to the next slide and also invite Ngardy to speak to this ecosystem that we're presenting here.
Hi, everyone. So my visual description is I am a Black woman with chocolate skin. I have long black dreadlocks. I am wearing a blue and white cloudy sky looking dress, sleeveless dress. My background is blue paint with a shelf and a picture frame. and some African masks. So this slide is just a great kind of display of different funds that we have access to here in Canada. I'm not going to go into detail into all of them because that takes a long time, but just to kind of go through a few, you have like at the federal level, Canadian Media Fund, Telefilm Canada. A lot of those fundings are attached to broadcaster commitments. On a provincial level, you have all of our provincial bodies like in Ontario, Ontario Creates, in BC, you have Creative BC, in Nova Scotia, Screen Nova Scotia, and they all have provincial funding that is available to many creators. And then there are the art councils on a federal level. You have the Canada Council for the Arts. Every province, I would say look into your province and also into your municipality to see art council funding on that level. At those tiers, provincial tier and at a municipal level, those are great gateways because they normally have streams for emerging filmmakers to apply for projects. You have the NFB that has the Filmmakers Assistance Program, often called the FAP program, which is a great source for funding, and it's not only funding for documentaries. So it's a great one to check out. And then there's also festivals that have funding like Hot Docs, TIFF, especially Hot Docs has an array of funding available for documentaries. And then out in the West Coast, you have TELUS's Story Hive, not only for BC creators, but they do have things that are specifically for BC. So I would say that, look in where your region is and look at what's available to you. There are lots of options. These websites are great resources to find out about their funds. You'd want to sign up for their mailing lists to know when those funds have their deadlines. They also offer info sessions for a lot of these funds, so you can learn about how to apply and what the ins and outs are about their funds.
We can go to the next slide. And so I will just throw this over to Diang, who's going to take us through a sample financing plan for a fictional TV series.
Great. Thanks, Anya. My visual description is I'm an Asian male with a shaved head, and what I looks like, I found out this morning, a zit right on my forehead. I've got a gray short sleeve t-shirt, and my background are two doors, which I've been made fun of already. So I'm going to do a 10,000 foot rundown on a basic financing plan that includes the various elements that could appear in a 1 hour television show. This budget right here, as you can see, is set at $13 million. That's for 13 1-hour episodes. And so that's about $1 million an episode. Financings come in all shapes and sizes, but the basic elements are, regardless of the media, are generally the same. In a perfect world, we would generally start with the budget. I think having a budget in hand gives you and your stakeholders and the people around you a better sense of what your project is going to require. It also shows that you've done the work. And it helps with tax credit estimates for sure, because a lot of the detail in the budget will help with those calculations. Having budget will also set a more accurate expectation as it relates to your financing. Knowing exactly how much it's going to cost to get your project off the ground is basically the best place to start with how much money you have to raise. So it's always good to start with a budget. For each of these individual elements in this financing, we could run hour-long workshops on each line. So definitely trying to boil down the C here, but I'll try and keep the description short and simple. But I would suggest if there are financing elements that you aren't familiar with or are new to you, please visit the websites, check and just do the research, because each individual element will have, each individual financer may have their own set of criteria, their own deadlines, and any commentary around amounts that they will fund. So definitely good to be aware of those things when you're including some of these elements in your financings. So what I'll do is I'll just go through line by line and just give you a short description. But again, this is for a 1 hour television show, 13 episodes. The first element that you see here is the Canadian broadcaster, which is probably the most important element. Not the least of which is because having a Canadian broadcaster in place will help trigger things like tax credits and the Canadian Media Fund. The amount of funding is usually up to the individual broadcaster, but the amount of funding that I've included here is the minimum amount required by the CMF to trigger the CMF funds. So it's, in this particular case for a 1 hour drama, it's $315,000 an episode. The bottom line is though, you need someone to show your work and they should pay for it. The second line item I have is the Canadian Media Fund. It's a bit of a tongue twister here, a public-private partnership between the Canadian government and the broadcasters. They can provide additional funds in the form of license fee top-ups, equity investments, and regional bonuses, and the pilot program for racialized communities. Each program has their own guidelines and criteria, as I mentioned before, but they can fund up to 49% of your individual eligible costs. So definitely a good thing to consider. As I've said, I do encourage people to do the research on the individual programs that the CMF provides because to check to see if you qualify, but most of them require having a broadcaster in place already. So definitely something to keep in mind. The next element is the independent production funds. They range in different types of financing from grants, recoupable investments, and equity investments. They include financiers such as the Bell Fund, the IPF, the Rogers Cable Fund, and the Shaw Rocket Fund, just to name a few that we've used. Like the CMF, they all have different rules and criteria and deadlines and amounts that they invest. So again, I encourage you to take a look at some of these individual funds individually and see if you qualify and are you eligible and if you should include them in your financing. The next element I have here is the distribution advance. It's basically a cash advance from a distributor to sell your show internationally in foreign markets. In most cases, I suggest that you have a discussion with a distributor before you put a number here because a lot of the amounts that they put here are based on the sales potential of your show internationally. So definitely a hard number to sort of pick out of the air. But I did want to include that number there because if your show does have international potential and international sales potential, there is definitely financing to be sort of accessed there from distributors. The next line is tax credits. As is the description, it's a series of refundable tax credits that are provided at the provincial or the federal level. I'm simplifying them. I'm oversimplifying a very complex calculation, but it can, contribute up to 30% of your financing through these tax credits. But this is why it's underlining why it's important to have a budget in place because all these tax credits are calculated differently and based on different elements of your show. So just having a budget will yield a more accurate tax credit number. So definitely a good reason to have a budget in place. The other line is just includes things like sponsorships, deferrals, crowdsourcing. Each have their own pros and cons, and each have different varying amounts of which they can contribute. But for these items, you should definitely consider these items carefully because they may affect some of the financing you already have in place, like grinding your tax credits or reducing your tax credits for whatever reason. So definitely another reason to have a good team in place to sort of help you interpret some of these individual effects. Finally, it's the gap line, and I think it's a place that we've all found ourselves. It's basically the difference between your ambition and what people are willing to pay for it. More simply put, though, it's basically the difference between your budget and the amount that you've raised. Obviously, you want that gap to be zero and you want to be fully financed, but sometimes it's easier said than done. But this is why producers get paid the big bucks. You will have to think of different ways to sort of collapse that gap down to zero. You may want to check out some of the funding, other funding sources that you might not have already tapped, or you may want to go back to the existing financiers to see if they could contribute more money. Or, as is often the case, you maybe need to cut your budget. I think one thing I would like to flag for people is that if you have tax credits in your financing, if you cut your budget, your tax credits will go down as well. So in this particular case, the gap in this financing that I provided is just under $1 million. So you may find yourself having to cut almost 1.3 million or 1.5 million to actually make your financing balance. So that's a basic financing for a 1 hour television show. I definitely tried to condense it as much as I could because we could talk for days on a lot of these individual elements. Depending on the media, whether it be a digital or a doc, some of these things might be called something different, but I think the basics are similar across all different types of media. So
Thank you, Diang.
I hope that gives you a good rundown.
Thank you so much, Diang. Could we have the next slide? We're just gonna leave scripted for a moment, and Ngardy's gonna take us through what a typical 60-minute doc might look like in terms of a financing plan.
So this is a typical financing plan for a $500,000 documentary broadcast project, which is normally like a 60-minute documentary. I think you can also, I think it's important to pay attention to the percentage column because you can still apply this kind of breakdown to a $50,000 budget, $100,000 budget, $800,000 budget with the kind of percentages is going to the different categories. So you're a Canadian broadcaster, 20%, $100,000, that's, kind of what your broadcaster will give you. And that, again, like Diang went over, unlocks your Canadian Media Fund, your CMF funding that comes directly from the broadcaster. It's called a license fee top-up. So that is the amount that the CMF has allocated the broadcaster to distribute to the projects that they support. So it's not something that you apply to separately. It's something that the broadcaster would allocate. So when they're saying we'll give you, so a broadcaster would kind of give you $219,000, but it would be separated as in that what comes directly from them and then what comes from their CMF envelope or their CMF contribution. Other broadcast rights, 3%, so that might be like video on demand or other avenues the broadcaster might exploit your work, educational or different platforms. Rogers Documentary Fund, that's normally where you would have other sources of funding, so 20%, so that could range normally between 10 to 20% if you're successful, sometimes zero if you're not successful in applying for additional funding. So that could be Rogers Documentary Fund, that could be the Hot Docs Rogers Fund, which is a separate one with a similar name. There are other funds out there that could fill in that line. For documentaries, our tax credits for labor, you're eligible to apply for 90% of the tax credit calculation. So that's kind of how it tops up. I believe for the provincial tax credits, there's also sometimes a bonus for first-time producers for your first broadcast project. Tax credits go up slightly. I think next week, when you register for all those deep dives into tax credits, you can get those details. And then there's also a line in here, and this will apply to some people and not to others, the CMF English regional bonus. So there are different bonuses the CMF gives depending on the demographic you fall into. So this one is a regional bonus, so which is normally for when you're outside of major cities and production is happening in those areas. And so that's kind of a very quick rundown. As you can see, it's kind of very similar to the previous financial plan with just some variances. So it's not a huge leap when you're thinking about financing something that is fictional or scripted versus something that's unscripted or documentary. The elements kind of still are very similar.
Thank you, Gaddy. I mean, I think the main difference is the scripted shows tend to be a different scale,
Oh,
tend to be, I say, than the
yeah,
documentaries.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay, so can we go to the next slide? Thank you. So here we just have a few resources um, that we will provide to you. And I just wanted to make the note to everybody, don't worry about taking lots of notes and so forth. We'll be providing all of this information to you, including the video of this show. So we are just going to turn to some questions, and we can take the slides down for a moment now. We have some really great questions that were sent to us. So let's dive in. First off, it has to do with the topic, how and where do I start? So I have a project. What comes first? I think, Diang, you kind of addressed this already. Do you go to the broadcaster first? Do you get a producer? Or do you try to get the funding? What do you think?
I think it all depends. I think I think the best thing to do is to just be truthful about the strengths and weaknesses of your project, and don't mean this in a bad way. But if experience is one of your, you don't have a lot of experience on your team, it could mean partnering with somebody, partnering with a production company, partnering with a director, partnering with an actor or a showrunner, someone that can, give various financiers some comfort that you can execute the grand creative vision that you have. So it just really depends, and it's just on each individual project. But I think it's just understanding where you have weaknesses in your individual project and trying to address them. And if experience is one of them, maybe it is going to a producer first before you go to a broadcaster. But if you have enough experience and to get in the door, then maybe you don't need it. I think it's just one of those things that it depends on each individual project.
Thank you. Very well said. The other question had to do with what if I don't have the credits? And I think you've kind of answered that, but I don't know if you want to elaborate on the production credits. I don't have the production credits under my belt. How can I get the financing?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends what role that you play in your project. I mean, if you're the writer, maybe you need to partner with a showrunner, or maybe it's just a production company. If you feel like, I think it's just about addressing, as I mentioned before, addressing some of the concerns people may have about execution, because everyone wants to produce good content, and there are definitely great ideas out there, but to invest a certain amount of money, people want to be assured that people are going to get what they pay for. So I think partnering with people, whether it be an actor, a writer, or a director, is definitely some way you can address the lack of experience that you may have individually.
Very good. Ngardy, I wonder if you could take the next question, which is also about being a new filmmaker, and where can I begin to find that funding when I don't have a foot in the door yet? And so we're really talking to like the emerging new filmmakers here.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I think the best way to look is at festivals. Festivals always have opportunities to pitch projects. They normally have, and networking, I think, is huge. So I think it's attending industry programming and festivals where there are opportunities for you to meet experienced producers who can, mentor you or come on as an executive producer, or, just guide you. Or also, like I said, the film festivals I think are a great source, because there's a lot of funding opportunities at festivals. Like a Regent Park Film Festival has a pitch program that's tied to a development deal with a broadcaster. Like the Real World E20 program is a great program that introduces you and helps you develop a project that could, in turn down the road lead to funding. And I think really it's getting work made. Like it's that chicken and egg thing. If you don't have work, how can you show work to get funding? But with this day and age where there's zero barriers to technology and actually creating something, I think like create that work so you have something, and then whether it's going after art council funding, partnered with a creative to make work, small work, and think in measurable, like you might have a big sci-fi, picture you want to make that has all kinds of special effects. Well, like, really, are you going to make that now? Let's be real. That's not something you're going to get funding and you're going to be able to make and execute now. So think about smaller projects that you can make. You can make well. You can get, $5,000 of funding, $10,000 of funding. Get that project made. Enter it in festivals, get some awards, and then use that as a stepping stone to the next project, to the bigger project. Like, all these things are incremental. There are no such things as overnight successes. Like,
Sure. Very, very good advice, very sage advice. Do you have a recollection of what your lowest budget was that you ever made something for?
zero.
Okay.
Right, negative, because I put my own money in it that I never saw again.
Right.
Like, right? Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't, you don't start making a $500,000 project.
Yeah. But it showed the initiative, right? And that's, I
Exactly.
guess that's the message. So the next question has to do with when you're in the broadcaster's office, and what are some of the do's, or if you want to take the don'ts of what not to say or what to say about money and about financing when you're speaking to a broadcaster. Now you've reached that stage.
So, like, if you're going in to have a pitch meeting, well, a pitch meeting, like, it's going to put money aside for a second. A good story. You can't go in with a bad story, or a story that's half developed, and like, you can't. You won't get to the conversation about money if you don't have a good pitch. So in having a good pitch, you want to make sure that it's completely clear, that the broadcaster can picture what your film is from beginning to end. And that's not to say that you need to go into very much detail, because you still want them asking for more. You want them wanting more. You just need to pique their interest. And then when it comes to the ask, you definitely want to say, where are you at in your process? Are you in development? Are you ready to go into production? And the top line, like, and then have a realistic budget that matches your project, because you don't want to pitch something and then say, okay, whatever figure is like way too high or way too low, then that's going to question the broadcast. The broadcaster is going to question your ability to be able to deliver on that. So I think it's, being really, really clear about what you want, when you want to achieve it, your timeline, and then where you're at in your phase, and being honest about the money, and then
Yes.
don't make promises you can't keep. Don't say, well, I have this other fund coming in. Well, if that fund isn't granted, you can say that is pending. There's nothing wrong with saying that something is pending. And there's also nothing wrong with going to a broadcaster without any funds being raised when you're pitching something as well.
Very interesting. Dang, do you want to add something to that about
Yeah,
talking to
I
a
was just
broadcaster?
gonna just underline a lot of the things that Gotti said. Was just, try not to oversell. I think it's everyone's natural inclination is to just say, I can do this and I can do that. And that's why sometimes having a budget in place, or at least having a general thoughts on budget, are good things to have in your back pocket, because you can speak intelligently, and that shows. It shows, and it gives people confidence. And I think that's one of the main things as well, is obviously wowing them with the creative, but giving people confidence that you can execute. So again, referring to just having a team in place. I mean, if you know a line producer, or or you're partnering with a production company, having those things in place gives people confidence that you can execute, even if you don't have a ton of experience. So it's just about the whole package. Obviously, great story, great creative, but giving people the comfort that you can execute.
Thank you. Great, great answer. So the next question has to do with, we were talking about short films and making something, but maybe you're the creative. And so where do you find a producer to help you find the money for a short film or a documentary?
You can go ahead.
Sorry,
I don't know.
Gabby, either of you.
Gotti, you want to address the documentaries, perhaps, or?
Yeah, for documentaries, like the Documentary Organization of Canada is a great place to find documentary producers, and it's just a great community for documentary filmmaking. And that's always a great place. There's a listserv, or, kind of messaging that you have with all members that you can always reach out to, and there. But then I think that comes down to networking in this industry, going to industry events. Like, your network is your net worth. So expand that network and get to know producers. And professional organizations like WIFT, and enrich WIFT across the country. Different regions have their own chapters, are a great place to meet and be matched with producers.
I can't really speak specifically to short films because that's definitely a very specific area. But when it comes to television, I mean, simple. It can be just as simple as Googling different production companies in Canada and seeing the types of shows that they do and seeing if there's a creative match. I think you can see just by looking at the types of shows that a production company does, what types of things that they're focused on. I'm sure there's plenty of lists out there that list the different production companies in Canada. I think a simple Google search will yield a lot, and you can just see, and then you can determine the fit after that. If you have an agent, that's probably another way to go. Having your agent go about finding places for you to pitch different production companies. But if you're on your own, Google is always the best place.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah. Just one more thing I want to add. Someone gave me this advice when I was very, very early in my career. They said, look at your favorite shows on TV, like your favorite Canadian locally produced content. Watch the end credits. Write down the names of those producers and the production companies who make that work. Contact them.
Yeah, so you're a fan of the cold call. Well, that I like all of those answers. And so we're going to go to our next question, which is I'm going to jump to something that's pretty practical as we grapple with financing and applications for those financiers. So Diang, maybe you can answer this one. What are donors and financiers looking for in a grant financing application? What makes a good application?
I'm not going to speak to individual specific financiers because I think a lot of those things, a lot of those eligibility requirements are already listed on their website. So there are some very basic black and white things that could if you don't actually qualify, could just sort of, would be a no for you automatically. So assuming that you meet all the eligibility requirements and in the criteria that are set out by each individual financer, I think basically comfort that you can execute. I think obviously, listen, I don't want to jump to that. Obviously, a great story and great elements, but that comes part and parcel with execution as well. So from very much a business perspective, I think it's comfort that you can execute, and a little bit down the roads, the recoupability of their investment. Will they? Part of that is whether or not they'll at least get the show that they were hoping to get, and the second part of that is will they make some of their money back? But a lot of times that's not necessarily the sole focus. So it's really comfort that you can execute, and of course a great story.
Yeah, and would either of you recommend working with someone who is experienced at writing these applications, especially thinking of our emerging filmmakers and new filmmakers?
Absolutely. I mean, I know there are people out there who you can pay to look over, who you can pay to help with grant writing. I did see an offer on Instagram. So search on Instagram. There's someone out there who's offering to review all Art Council grants and all funding applications. And that person, there's a list floating out there of like a list of people who are giving out their services as grant writers to Black, Indigenous, and emerging creators of color to review. Don't all attack my Instagram, but it's out there. I'll, if I can find it, I'll put it in the chat.
That's a great option. So just a reminder that if you have a question while you're watching this on the Zoom link today, please put that question in the Q&A feature. We're keeping track of those and adding them in, and hopefully we'll get to them. This is an interesting question. The rumor has often been that there is favoritism from established producers and directors that are known to various funding agencies. What are the selection criteria? Do you think they're fair to emerging creators and producers? And I leave that to either of Ngardy and Diang to comment on, given your experience now in the Canadian industry.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if fair is the right word. I think funders are very risk adverse, so they it's hard for them to invest their money on something that might be risky to them. And so that's regardless of if you're emerging or, mid-career or established. They don't, I don't know. I personally think it's this Canadian thing where it's like they like to do things that are tried, tested, and true, versus taking on something that's completely groundbreaking that has never been done before. But I think with that, the more established you are, the less risky you are, because you've already proven that you've been able to take something from, concept to delivery. And so I think right now, I think there's a shift going on in this industry where they're re-looking at the way people are funded and people are supported. So I think a change is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go
No,
ahead.
I was just going to say, I think what you said is excellent, because it's the risk, also it's the financial level, the scale of the risk, right? So you had mentioned earlier going after smaller grants and arts councils, taking the less risky ones first. And Diang, over to you.
Yeah, no, I was just going to reiterate what both of you have said now. It's just, there is a certain amount of risk. It's that people just want to make sure that they're going to get something for their money. And I think I've spoken about this before, but just, if you do see that as a potential issue with your project is, and if you want an easy yes, then it's about assembling a team that will help make that less risky for somebody. So it's not necessarily about changing your creative, it's about changing the team that you have behind you to make people comfortable that you can do it.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we have another question here. I have worked with many people to develop on a develop for free scenario. It's straining on a creative. Not many want to go for it. It's very challenging to move a project along this way. Any thoughts on the develop for free financing route? And I think maybe Dan, we could start with you on this one, because I know you've done some development work.
I have, but in most cases, we've been paying for the development work. I mean, there are development funds out there that are specifically focusing on developing. So there isn't necessarily I mean, I do see the reason for it. I don't want to say that it's not a reality, but broadcasters provide development funds via the CMF. There are different ways to get financing just for development to allow people to get paid for the work that they do. So that's sort of unfortunately the level that we deal at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we would like you to get paid too. The CBC just has a development strand as well, and we had a panel yesterday all about that. Ngardy, do you want to add anything else to this question?
Yeah, from a documentary's perspective, unpaid development is like it's a necessary evil, just because the industry is so competitive for documentaries. It's really hard to even get development funding for something without having any footage attached. So oftentimes, and then a lot of times for documentaries, you kind of need to spend time with the protagonist or the subject to do a little bit of research. So there is always some kind of element of development you kind of do on your own in order to pitch for development funding. It's really, I think it's more rare that you take a newspaper article and say, I want to make this documentary, give me development funding. Or I have this one idea and you want to make a documentary about it. So there's always kind of this level of, there's a bit. So it's a necessary evil, and you just have to gauge how much work you want to put in until you're ready to go and pitch it to get that development funding. But it makes you more competitive the more,
right.
The more wholesome your package can be.
So it's a mitigated risk. It's worth it if you're going to get your film made in the documentary area. Yeah. So we're just going to go to another question here, which kind of is I'm going to have both of you speak to this one possibly. Again, speaking to how to describe a typical financing arrangement for a pilot and a 10 by 30 cable. We kind of offered that slide earlier, typical drama with 10 episodes or a pilot. And so maybe Diang, you'd like to take it and just maybe speak to the pilot question.
Well, I guess the pilot is a very specific thing, because obviously it's one episode and there is not much more sales potential for the one episode. So you're really just selling the promise of what the pilot could be. Obviously, a broadcaster would need to be involved, and if there is intent to actually show the pilot, there's potentially tax credits as well. The CMF has a specific pilot aspect of their funding that can be accessed, it could, if it's an order for one show and then you'll do the next 12 a little bit later after you do some tweaking, it may be just that the bigger order is down the road, so you can access those series funds more readily. But pilots are tough because could just end up being one episode, so a broadcaster may have to step up and bear a lot of the brunt, and it is a very, very specific funding model for sure.
Fair enough. And what about something, Ngardy, that is a micro short content for social media, or something short form?
Well, my thinking around the micro shorts and that kind of like, social media content is go for branding dollars, go after, it's not, depending on what the structure is, that's a great avenue to look for financing. Broadcasters aren't the only, and funders and funds aren't the only places to get your things financed. So look at branding, look at advertising, look at commercial, businesses that can fund your product. If it's something as micro, that means you don't need very much money because it's something going to be short, unless you want to, blow up some things out there and work with a bunch of animals. That's my suggestion. Or CBC, their Creators Network.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. The Creators Network is out there doing stuff, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. If you were to switch it to audio and something like podcasting, would you have any other suggestions about how to get funding for podcasting? Is that now becoming a thing?
It is becoming a thing, and it's very new, so I can't point you where, but I know like Hot Docs has a podcast festival, so I don't know if they have any funding. And I think just kind of, you kind of have to like be on top of that world, because it's I think it's a new world that's going to have funding, and a lot of it. And I think, was it Wattpad or something, I think has a fund out there. Like look at the people who host podcasts and see like where that kind of thing is leading. But I also feel like that world is leading into like private and advertising dollars to help fund it. So
interesting. Yeah, it's become even more, I would think, more popular during this time that we're living through, where you want to have your audio, you want to have something that you can listen to when you're in isolation. So switching to another topic that we were going to talk about today, and there's some questions around how to access money from equity deserving groups. How would someone with a TV show pilot pitch either or create a production company to produce content where there is preferably a majority ownership from a racialized community? So I guess it's a two-part question. How do you create the company that will represent, for example, a Black producer's idea to create that production? And is there some movement there in that area now for financing it? Ngardy, would you like to take a stab at that?
So I'm kind of, sorry, could you just reiterate the question? I wasn't quite sure.
Sure. How do you pitch the company that will meet the criteria for majority ownership by a member of a racialized community? How do you go about creating that company? And I mean, I can comment a little bit on it just because we were all preparing for that with the new fund from CMF. But basically, the idea is that you have to discuss that with within your creative group, the producers and the writers that are involved in creating the pitch, and you can seek legal advice on how to structure such a company so that the majority ownership rests with the authentic creator of the show. And I think that's what this person's getting at. Maybe you want to talk to that a little bit too.
Yeah. So just kind of like, how do you, so so to be eligible for funding, that's for Black, Indigenous, or people of color owned production companies,
Correct.
majority owned. So you
Yes.
just got to be the majority owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of just make sure that your company structure is, and who are the officers are, or that that ownership. You just make sure that you outline that when you're doing creating the company, and then yeah, having that company go and start to create some work so you have a track record.
Yeah, and do you think that, Dang, there's more openness for established production companies to create limited undertakings where uh, people of color or Black Indigenous producers are the majority owners to be able to access that funding?
I mean, for sure. I mean, most definitely. Uh, you know, I definitely think so. I think I think there has always been an appetite for it, and I don't think, unfortunately, it hasn't very much been on the forefront. But I think definitely there is an appetite for it, and an openness to do this type of content for sure.
Okay, thank you for answering that. That's a great. So the next question had to do with where are the financing resources for Black, Indigenous, and people of color? Where is a good place to look for the resources around those potential funds? And I would just comment that at the end of the session, we'll have a slide called resources, and the business and rights team and the digital team has put together this great document called the 100-day funding outlook, and there will be a link to that on our site. So you can whoever's asked this question, you can spread the word about that document. It has a massive list of all the financing, the deadlines, and specifically the criteria that meet you. But I just wonder, Gaddy or Dang, if you want to speak to any specific registration for groups coming from racialized communities accessing funding, if there's any list serve or anything else out there.
Gotti had mentioned this before, but all the different festivals out there. I know specifically, Real Asian has a pitch contest that has 100% success rate in terms of getting the projects sort of produced and done and actually screened at Real Asian. So, and through the pitch contest, they provide support and all the sort of the resources they need to sharpen their pitch before the contest actually happens. So, and Gotti had mentioned the other festivals as well that had specific initiatives that might be places to find specific resources.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that that's fair enough. And like now we're going to get to some of the questions that have been coming in as we've been speaking. We have a few more minutes here. So here's an interesting one in the digital age. Is it imperative to have built up a social media following before pitching to a funding body like TELUS or Bell Fund, for example? At first glance, previous recipients already have a well-established online brand. How would you approach this?
Yeah. The thing is, I would say not necessarily, because if you attach an actor who has a huge social media following, then that's going to help you just as much as if that was you, or if someone else on your team has that. I think in some scenarios it's an advantage, and in others it doesn't matter. So I don't. Sorry, it's like a non-answer.
No. So it's case by case, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the type of genre and like the type of the type of broadcaster, like
Yes.
yeah.
And the type of media too as well. I mean, if it's a web series, I think obviously that you're speaking to your discoverability and you're speaking to your pre sort of highlighting your audience already. So definitely, if it's on the digital side, that's something that may help.
Excellent. Earlier in the presentation, someone was asking for clarification on what grinding your tax credits mean. I know we use this terminology, but maybe you could just elaborate, Diang.
Sure. It's basically, there are some bits of financing that will reduce your tax credits. I won't get into the specifics of the calculation, but some financiers that are grants will reduce your tax credits both on the federal side and on the provincial side. So it's basically grinding is a fancy word for just saying it reduces your tax credit commensurate to the amount that is provided by that specific financer. So if it's a grant and it's $100,000, there's $100,000 grind on your tax credits. There are very specific ways you execute that calculation. I won't get into it now.
Right.
But, that's what we mean.
Right. Excellent. Thank you. Gaddy, and also a refinement, would the documentary financing plan also apply to a doc series? So thinking of about a factual series or a documentary series, and we presented the 500,000 plan. Would you say that that's more or less or the same?
Yes, but just thinking about like the Rogers documentary fund line, so that would that would kind of be where your private financing or your funds would come from. So something like the Rogers doc fund wouldn't apply to a doc series because it's for one-off documentaries. So you just you'd apply for other funds out there that that doc series are eligible for. I believe for series broadcasters, I think may give more, so there's less dependency on those private funding. So yeah, so there would be a slight difference.
Right. Yeah, and I mean the scale. I can speak to the scale would be a little bit different if you're doing, a 6x30 or something that's even a digital original that's going to be like 6x15 or 10x15 series. The scale of the funding might be different, and you might be able to also access different types of financing if it's a digital original, for example. This is kind of interesting, question. What do you do when a broadcast executive is not responding to your email before a funding deadline, even if they told you that they wanted the project? Do you move to another broadcaster?
Absolutely. Shop it around. It's like you're until you sign that license agreement or that letter of commitment, it's not committed to anybody. So shop it around. If you have why not have two broadcasters fight over your project? It's great leverage to say, well, I have interest, and then if another broadcaster is interested, you can go back to the first one and say, would you mind being able to make a decision on this, because I actually have interest from another broadcaster, but I wanted you to have an opportunity first. So it's the art of negotiation. I think absolutely moving on. Very
nicely put. Very gutsy. Diang, would you agree?
Yeah, that was very well crafted. Kudos, because it's. I mean, obviously every situation is specific to that situation. So, but that there are ways to be polite about it and to recognize the fact that there has been no commitment and you have a project to produce. So you don't have to be rude about it, and you just need to move on and need to do what's best for the project. But you can address it as Ngardy so eloquently put, in a very reasonable fashion that I think most people would understand.
Okay, thank you. We have just 5 minutes. Can you believe how the time has flown by? Maybe just one more question, one or two. Okay, here's a good one. What is the difference between a broadcaster and a distributor? Which has first rights to screen the content, or does it depend on whether it's domestic or international? Do you contract with the broadcaster first, or are you getting the distribution agreement first? And I think because it was in your slide, Diang, I'll ask you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different elements to that are hard to answer with a very specific, definitive answer. But always, I think it's it may be easier to get a broadcaster commitment if you had a distributor interested. It may be easier to get a distributor interested if you had a broadcaster interested. So there's a lot of different elements that I can't really provide a different answer. But to answer the fact-based questions, I think the broadcaster generally is someone who would be exhibiting your content locally, and would be your first sort of commitment.
Right.
A distributor generally would have rights to sell it internationally, to the UK or to Germany. Yeah, I think that's how you would distinguish it, would be domestic versus international.
Yeah, I that's a great answer. I think the only caveat I would make here is talking about television or in that space as opposed to feature film. And I just want to note for everyone watching that we did get a number of questions about film financing. And what we'll do is we'll try to address those and some of the resources that we provide and answer those at a later time. We really focused on broadcast platforms and digital broadcast platforms here today. So I think that just wrapping up, somebody had asked, what is the CBC Creators Network? I can take that one really quickly before we wrap up. The CBC Creators Network is a strand of content commissioning that CBC does across the country. We have creative execs looking for micro budget content from creators, and we're talking anything from $5,000 and that kind of range. There is Halifax is involved, and Toronto and Vancouver. So there are a number of creative execs handling that portfolio. So if you have a cute little idea that you want to pitch us, please contact us and we'll provide the contacts. And so I think without further ado, I think there's still questions coming in. So we're sorry about if we can't get to all of your questions. We may have time for one more. Gaddy, is it better to get footage for a doc when applying for the Sundance Documentary Fund, even if that footage?
Sorry, hop to another question. I've answered that one in that chat. So you.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I typed it in.
Okay. And do we have a sample financing scenario for a factual entertainment program? Not on hand, but we can probably get you something similar that you can look at that's redacted. And then there was a question for the regional bonus. How much of the production has to be produced within the region? Is there a percentage of labor of the expenses that has to be produced in the region? I don't know if anybody wants to jump on that.
Can't say off the top of my head, but I know CMF's website would have all of those details for you.
Excellent. That's right. So basically, a lot of resources, a great conversation. Thank you to Gaddy and to Diang for sharing your points of view in the documentary space, in the fictional space, and for taking time out to talk with us today at the One Stop Business Workshop. And I just want to tell everyone that our next session is tomorrow. It's June 17th at 2 p.m. and it's on cash flow. Don't miss it. It's very, very important in these days. And again, a big thank you from all of us to our panelists, to the attendees and the participants, and all of your questions. We hope you've enjoyed this. And thank you also to the ASL team that's been helping us make this session even more accessible this year. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.